Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2020-21 season. My name is Dan and today we're talking all about the most recent transfers that have come into the Premier League and how they translate to FPL. Are any of them worth looking at to become part of our FPL team? So I've picked out who I think are going to be the most popular players, the players you probably want to know the most about. I've got 8 today and I'm going to be talking about them a little bit. I'm going to be also giving them a rating at the end, either a buy, a wait and see, or an avoid rating. So it's kind of not quite the same as my buy, sell, keep, avoid series, but it's kind of similar in a sense where I'll be sort of rating these players. But just because they're buy doesn't mean you definitely have to buy them. Just because they're avoid, you definitely have to avoid them, and so on and so forth. So make up your own mind, but I'll try and give you as much information and what the kind of these players are all about. If you really enjoy this video, I will consider making a part 2, but from the stuff I put together so far, it's taken quite a long time to compile the notes and some of the graphics for this video. So, yeah, do give it a big thumbs up. If this video reaches, I don't know, say 1,000 likes, then I'll make a part 2 and go over some of the other transfers, and maybe you can put in the comment section your favourite player who isn't in this video, who you'd like me to talk about, who is a recent transfer. So we don't want to do, the first lot of transfers. We're talking about the more recent transfers right at the end of the deadline. So yeah, let's move on to the first player. But before we do that, please do make sure you subscribe if you're new around here, and turn on those notifications because yeah, aiming for 40,000 subscribers. But let's get going. So number 1 here I've got written down is Bale Brewster for Sheffield United. He's coming in at 4.5 million, and I think a lot of people are looking at Brewster here. Just mostly because of his price, 4.5 million as a forward. That does make him, rock bottom price in terms of forward prices. And we also expect that he's going to be playing. So he got 10 goals in the Championship last season in 20 games for Swansea, which is really, really impressive. He's a sort of really young striker. He's really highly rated. Sheffield United have paid a lot of money for him. And you would have thought that Sheffield United probably bought him for so much money because they intend on playing him. Like I said, he's got real potential, this Rayan Brewster. So really interesting pick. The issue I guess I have with Rayan Brewster, and I don't know if it's an issue so much, is that there are a lot of forwards in the game right now in FPL that I really, really like the look of. There are so many. We're talking Kane, Jimenez, Ings, Calvert-Lewin, of course, Wilson, Watkins, Morpay. There's so many points going around in the forward positions right now, and it's a little bit of a risk to go for Rayan Brewster when there is so many other options that you could go for, and Rayan Brewster may end up taking up one of your forward slots, which you actually might quite like to use on a different player, a player who's maybe a little bit more established perhaps. The other issue, I guess, is that Sheffield United aren't really a particularly creative team. They weren't particularly creative last season. They didn't score a lot of goals. And this season, they're hardly scoring at all. I think they've scored 1 goal so far this season, which it's really not ideal. It's really not something that we like the look of. So, is Rayan Brewster going to be the player to come in and score those goals that Sheffield United so desperately need? Or is there still going to be a bit of a lack of creativity there and Rayan Brewster will therefore struggle? I'm not sure. But I am going to put him down as a buy just because he's so cheap and he will play. So he's going to be really good value for money if you don't mind sacrificing one of your forward slots. Even if you leave him on the bench, even if you play him only occasionally, great value there, real good value. So go for a buy there, I would say. Number 2 is Barkley, who's just signed for Aston Villa. He's at 5.9 million, so he has dropped since he was sort of playing for Chelsea. We'll look at his last season stats because I think they're a little bit more relevant. So 21 games he played last season, 1 goal and 4 assists, which doesn't look amazing, but actually the average amount of minutes he played in a game in which he did feature was only 52 minutes. So really, if you're talking about goals and assists per 90 minutes, that looks a lot better. It's sort of like 1 goal or assist every other game, pretty much, you would say. So yeah, he has scored for Villa already, although you could say that was quite a big deflection in his 1 game. And he's also scored for Chelsea this year in the League Cup as well. So yeah, his stats are a little bit better than they look on the face of it, just because he didn't play very much last season. So the stats are a little bit better than the amount of games he played suggested. Already scored for Aston Villa, already scored for Chelsea. I think that's a buy. I would say if it was 5.5 million, he's an immediate buy. But 5.9 million, I'd still say, yeah, he's still a pretty good option. Aston Villa looking really, really good at the moment. Obviously, they've just beaten Liverpool 7-2, which is just a crazy result. Ross Barkley, of course, involved in that with his deflected goal. But overall, I think Ross Barkley's a buy. I think he's a good little player to have in your team. A little bit of a risk, as all of these new signings will be, but yeah, you can go for him. Number 3, we're going to talk about Gareth Bale, and I know he kind of signed for Spurs sort of a little while ago now, but he hasn't featured yet, so there's still quite a lot to talk about. So first of all, let's look at his stats from last season in La Liga. He played 16 games, he got 2 goals and 2 assists. My issue with this is it's not really enough data from last season to tell you how good he is right now. His last good season for Real Madrid was actually a couple of years ago, before he started being sort of pushed out of the team a little bit. He's now 31. Back when he was playing and playing really well, he was sort of, 28, 29. So could he be slightly out of his prime? Could he be like sort of dropped a level a little bit, as he's not had regular first team football for the past couple of years? I don't know. I think he is a bit of a risk. I can understand why someone would want to put Gareth Bale in their team, because he's a classic Premier League player. Spurs fans absolutely love him. We all know his name is a huge name. There's no doubt that he probably still does have the quality, but he might take a little bit of time to adjust back into the Premier League. So for me, it's got to be a wait and see. And for 9 million, I would rather go for Son, because Bale 9.5 million, Son is only 9 million, and he's already far more established. He's fully match fit. He's already in good form. I think Son offers better value right now, but down the line, I think Bale could be a worthwhile asset on FPL. But we'll see. Wait and see. Number 4 I've got written down here is Alex Telles, Manchester United, 5.5 million, of course. And you're going to look at these stats and say, wow, aren't you? Played 31 in Portugal, the Liga NOS last season. 11 goals and 8 assists, and a total of 17 clean sheets as well. But let's put this into context a little bit. So don't get too carried away, because the vast majority of goals he scored last season were penalties. So he was the penalty taker at Porto. The other contributions are mostly from set pieces as well. The 17 clean sheets, they are in the Portuguese league whilst playing for the best team in Portugal. So the stats there don't really give a full picture of how good he actually might be. You don't think that Telles takes penalties away from, Fernandes. He's probably behind the pecking order or behind Rashford as well. Set pieces, you still think Bruno Fernandes probably has a monopoly on those set pieces as well. So is Alex Telles going to be able to get the same returns, sort of same amount of goals, same amount of assists without having these free kicks and corners and penalties, and playing in a lot harder league as well? Manchester United, of course, not in fantastic form right now. They've started really slowly. So for that reason, I don't think now is the right time to go for Alex Telles. Even if he does end up taking some free kicks and stuff, give it a few weeks. Make sure he's definitely nailed on. He's definitely replaced Shaw in that starting lineup. He might see if he's taken a couple of corners or something like that. Now see if Manchester United's form can improve a little bit, and then you can go for him, I think. Next up, Nélson Semedo, Wolves, 5.5 million, just signed for Barcelona, so really big signing for Wolves there. And you'd think a decent replacement for Doherty. Played 32 games, 1 goal, 4 assists, 6 clean sheets for Barcelona last season. Well, clean sheets looks pretty low actually, because typically when Semedo was playing, Barcelona actually wouldn't get the clean sheet. So perhaps he actually was not great defensively for them. That's what the stats are telling me anyway. He's played twice for Wolves in the Premier League so far, so you might have watched him already. I personally, from what I've seen, there's nothing really that's made me say wow. His expected goals is a big old 0, a big old bagel. His expected assists is it's basically 0.2. It's something like 0.04, something like that. So he's not really looked likely to contribute anything in attacking sense, but that's not to say he can't contribute something in the attacking sense when, he's played a few more games, he starts fitting into the team a little bit more. We can see he's trying to get forward a lot for Wolves, as we would expect. That's what the right wing back at Wolves does. So yeah, he's looking like there are potential positives there. I think the real benefit of Nélson Semedo is Wolves often get clean sheets, don't they? They really do. So if you can spare the extra 0.5 million to upgrade, if you've got Saiss or Cody or someone like that, and you've got 0.5, you think you want to upgrade to Semedo for the, higher potential of assists and goals, you could do that. So I think overall, he's got to be a buy for me. The clean sheets is what's selling it to me right now. I'd have no massive expectations of goals and assists right this moment. Wait and see on the goals and assists. But for clean sheets, he could be a good shout, and you could get ahead of the game if he does start getting those goal contributions there as well. So number 6, we're going to Wolves again for Rayan Aït-Nouri. I think that's how you say it. Aït-Nouri, maybe. 5 million. He's just come from Angers in France. Last season he played 17 games and got 3 assists. So he also got 6 clean sheets, which is quite impressive considering he's playing for Angers, which not exactly a big team in Ligue 1. But yes, he's a really, really young. I think he's 19 years old. He's a left back. He's sort of one of the hottest properties, really, in world football in terms of defenders. I think he's probably going to be the most highly rated teenage left back in world football. I would probably go as far as to say that. Perhaps there's some other contenders there, but I think I'd put my neck out and say he probably fits that bill. He did miss the end of last season with a broken jaw injury, but because it's a broken jaw injury, that's not something that can reoccur really. So he didn't play every game last season, but it's not because of injuries that we need to worry about in the future. He's also bagged an assist in France already this season before he signed for Wolves. The thing is, though, he is likely to compete with Martial. I think that's the kind of risk there. There's sort of 2 left backs there at the club at Wolves, and then we've got Johnny Otto to come back. There's going to be a total of 3 left backs there. You would say that Martial is probably more likely to have been brought in to be a sub, but at the same time, Aït-Nouri is only 19. He's a young guy. I don't think he's going to bed in immediately. So I guess for that reason, he's a wait and see. But if he does start getting some regular team football, 5 million is going to look like a snip really for a wing back at Wolves. You get all the clean sheet bonuses and potential attacking returns, as well as these sort of fullbacks at Wolves bomb forward. So yeah, really want to watch there, but I'd like to make sure that he is going to be first choice there at left back or left wing back first. So next up is Thomas Partey at Arsenal, 5 million. Really good, really cheap price there. I guess for a good reason, I suppose. So last season for Atletico Madrid, he played 35 games. He got 3 goals, 0 assists in La Liga. No real goal or assist threat. I guess there's a little goal threat, but not really anything massive. I wouldn't necessarily describe him as a defensive midfielder in the classical sense. He does have some creative aspects to him, but my issue with him is he's an absolute yellow card magnet. He got 13 yellow cards in the league last season in 35 games. That's more than 1 every 3 games. So for that reason, Thomas Partey, if you're an Arsenal fan, if you really like the look of him, if you really fancy taking a huge risk with not a huge reward, then I guess you could go for Thomas Partey. But for me, he's going to have to go down as an avoid. Even though I'm an Arsenal fan, even though I think he's a fantastic signing, for FPL, he's got to be an avoid for me. So, my final newly transferred player that I'm going to be talking about today is Edinson Cavani for Manchester United, 8 million. Last season, 14 games played, 4 goals and 2 assists, which is not great for PSG in Ligue 1. He did have some injury and fitness problems last year. When he did play last year, it was actually off and off the bench as well. And the season before that, though, he was really clinical, actually. He scored in most goals he played, but you got to kind of put this into context. He was playing for the best team with amazing players around him in Ligue 1, which is obviously not as strong of a league as the Premier League is. Other issues is, will he be match fit? I mean, he spent most of last season unfit, so is he going to be fit for this season? Not the start, certainly, is he? Is he going to start again ahead of Martial? I guess probably not. You'd say probably not. If he is getting game time, it's going to be sort of maybe every other game or something like that, even when he is fully fit. If anything, all that he's brought to FPL is making Martial less appealing, making Martial less desirable as a player, because he's got a bit of competition for that number 9 slot, that slot up front. I do think Cavani could come in the occasional game. The thing is, with FPL, you want a player who's going to be playing every single week, guaranteed. And I don't think even a fully fit Edinson Cavani can provide that for you when Martial is still at the team. So, unless injuries happen, Martial gets injured, Rashford gets injured, something like that, Edinson Cavani plays a couple of games in a row, then you might want to think about bringing him into your FPL team. But with the form that Manchester United are in right now, not very good. With so much competition for that striker slot, I would say that Martial and Rashford both ahead of Cavani in the pecking order at this precise moment, just until Edinson Cavani can sort of bed in a little bit to that Manchester United team. He's not looking like a good option right now, to be honest, so avoid. So he's going to be an avoid for me. So there you go. There are the 8 players I'm going to talk about. As I said earlier, if you want to leave a like on this video, 1,000 likes, and I will make a second one of these videos, probably, I don't know, early next week or something like that. So yeah, please do tell me what you think, and as well as that, let me know what player you might want me to cover in next week's video, should I make one. But aside from that, thank you so much for watching, guys. Please do make sure you subscribe if you haven't done already. Click that notification bell. As you know, I'm going for 40,000 subscribers. I'm only 1,000 subscribers away from 40,000 now, which is just crazy, but hopefully I can hit that relatively soon. Don't know when, but you know, only you guys can help me on that one, I suppose. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm very active on there. If you want to follow me on Instagram, if you want to support me on Patreon or join my mini league, all of the links are in the description, so open up that description tab right now below this video and check that out. And aside from that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later, mates. Bye bye.